Hello everyone, my name is Darunday, your teacher for today's session. And so for our topic for today is all about types of wine. Before we will start our lesson, let's have our learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, 90% of students of BTVTED will be able to 1. Classify the different types of wine using pictures of wine. 2. Identify its different characteristics of wine using graphic organizer. 3. List the food pairing for each wine in a given time frame.
Created using Powtoon.
Wine is one of the beverages served in a restaurant and hotels, most especially to fine dining restaurants and five-star hotels. Having a basic learning about the kinds of wine is necessary, most especially if you will serve wine to the guests or you are starting to explore wine. There are a wide variety of wine available and there are literally thousands of it. Each kinds and types of have different characteristics and this module will help you classify them. In this module, we will give you a basic overview about the different types of wine in order for you to identify what type of wine you will serve or order in the store, restaurant, or hotel. You will learn also about the examples, food pairings, facts, and tips.
According to Philip Thompson and Dan Jordan, there are 6 different types of wine. They are classified as the red wine, white wine, rose wine, sparkling wine, dessert wine, and fortified wines. They are all have differences when it comes to its individual characteristics. So now, let us explore and learn about these types of wine. Red wines. According to Dan Jordan, black grapes are used to make red wines, which are then fermented together with the stems, seeds, and grape skins, which give the wine its red color. The high tannin content of red wine leaves your lips with a harsh, dry feeling after each sip. The example of red wines are the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Pinot Noir, Zinfandel, Chianti, Beaujolais. Red wines can be a great accompaniment to hearty dishes that contains red meat, such as barbecue ribs, burgers and steak, pasta, and pizza. Red wine is best served and drink at or slightly below room temperature because if you serve and drink it chilled, the tannins in the red wine will become bitter. Did you know that the darker or newer the wine, the more tannins it has, so if you like it less dry and bitter, choose for an older wine. White wines. According to Dan Jordan, both white and black grapes are used to make white wines. White wine is not fermented with grape skin, whereas red wine is. Instead, the skin are removed, leaving only the crystal clear grape juice. Few tannins exist in white wine. Instead, it is its acidic character that define its crisp, fresh, and tart flavors. The examples of white wines are the Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, and Riesling. White wines is a great accompaniment with lighter dishes such as poultry, fish, and other seafood, curries, tacos, cheese, salad, popcorn, and chips. White wine is best served if chilled to bring out its flavors. Rose wines. According to Philip Thompson, a pink or flush wine is referred to as rose wine. Red grapes are fermented for a shorter time to produce it. A few hours to a few days are possible within this time frame. It is also a little tannins, making it similar to white wine in that it has a dry flavor that can be fairly acidic. Rose is an excellent middle ground between red and white since it is quite mellow on the palate and goes well with a variety of foods. Whether or not the fermentation process was allowed to finish determines how sweet a rose wine will be. Rose wine is a great accompaniment to different dishes, including fruits, fish, cheese, and chicken. The misconception about rose wine is that because of its color, people thought that rose wine is a mixture of red wine and white wine to create rose wine. According to Dan Jordan, sparkling wines are formed from black and white grapes, and carbon dioxide is a byproduct of fermentation that occurs naturally, giving sparkling wines the label bubbly. The most popular sparkling wine is the champagne, which is frequently served at special occasions like weddings and New Year's. An example of a sparkling wine are the champagne and prosecco. Sparkling wine is also a great accompaniment to light food such as a soft cheese, seafoods like smoked salmon and shrimp, salad, fresh fruit, and popcorn. Have you ever questioned why champagne is always served in tall, thin glasses? It is because these glasses keep sparkling wine's temperature and bubbles intact. Did you know that Champagne, for example, is the name of a French province where sparkling wines are made?
The distinction between what constitutes a dessert wine tends to be a little hazy, so the next two categories present some challenges. Fortified wines and dessert wine are frequently combined, and the terms are occasionally used interchangeably, but it's important to remember that each has its own unique qualities.
Dessert wines. According to Dan Jordan, dessert wines are exceptionally sweet wines that are typically sipped after meals alongside and perhaps instead of dessert. Example of a dessert wine are ice wine and moscato. It is a good accompaniment to soft cheeses, cake, vanilla pudding, biscotti, chocolate, and creme brulee. Did you know that any sweet wines fall under the category of dessert wines, which is also occasionally the case for our following category: fortified wines. Fortified wines. According to Philip Thompson, brandy and other additional alcoholic components are added to fortified wines during the fermentation process to give them a richer and sweeter flavor. Examples of fortified wine are sherry, port, marsala, and Madeira. It is a great accompaniment to tarts, chocolate, cheese, nuts, and other desserts.
The best way to learn about wine is by drinking. You will better understand them when you try to consume each type of wine. You can differentiate it much better and learn its characteristics.
Are you all ready for the assessment? Without a further ado, let's have our assessment. In a one whole sheet of paper, answer the following questions. 1. What are the different types of wine? 2. Classify each type of wine with at least one picture each. 3. Differentiate the differences between the 6 types of wine using graphic organizer. 4. List at least 3 food pairings for each type of wine. And here are the references for today's lesson. And that would be all our lesson for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something. And that would be all. Again, I am Karen Darunday, your teacher, and see you next time.